Live and on tape from the heart of the Silicon Valley, this is the Disturbance NBA show. I really think we're the only show outside of the Los Angeles and Dallas metropolitan areas that care in any way about Kyrie Irving's money. All right, entire show. Kyrie is one of our 5 NBA players that we've identified on this show that have the most at stake in the last 20 to 21 games of the season. Look, one word really describes Kyrie Irving both on and off the court, and then off the court when he's actually supposed to be on the court, and that word is polarizing. Just listen to how Kyrie handles a question from a fine member of the press about Kevin Durant being traded.
Was just traded to Phoenix.
I'm happy we got the win tonight. Could we start with our team first, and then could we start with questions with our team first, and then you guys can ask all the speculative questions that you want. You good? Let's start with our team first, please.
All right, so you got to give it to the North American Free Press on asking the most important question right there. And of course, Kyrie's right. They should be asking him about the game that he just played, and then come back to the KD stuff a little bit later. But he had to have known, right? He's been in this league for quite some time now. He's not just some kid. Kyrie, you had to have known that was going to be the first question that was asked of you in that press conference. Now, either the Dallas Mavericks, the Brooklyn Nets, the Boston Celtics, and the Cleveland Cavaliers have all done a poor job in helping Kyrie anticipate what the press is going to ask him, which we all know is not true. He has been taught what is going to be asked ahead of time. So Kyrie is definitely a polarizing person. We're going to talk all about his money. I'm going to give you my opinions on that just in a little bit. But first, I would love to hear some guitar riffs.
Live and on tape from the heart of Silicon Valley, this is the Disturbance NBA show, hosted by Dave DeVaugh. Now to the host who can't stop talking about hoops, players, coaches, and the good, the bad, and the ugly front office moves that NBA executives continue to make, Dave DeVaugh.
Okay, so please subscribe to the show. If you haven't subscribed to it, definitely subscribe to it. Give us a like, do all those things. Greatly appreciated. The Disturbance channel on YouTube is actually growing pretty rapidly now that we've had some time to put some more time into it. That being said, super excited about today's show because most at stake in the NBA is a very interesting topic when you think about, who has the most at stake in the last 20 games of the season. And Kyrie Irving's definitely one of those 5 players that has the most at stake. We've got another show that we've cut with Joel Embiid as also having the most at stake in the NBA. It has nothing to do with his money, and it has more to do with the fact that he's completely disrespected when it comes to a most valuable player award, which quite frankly, he certainly deserves. Another show, we'll get into that. That being said, with apologies to the Joker. That being said, this show is entirely dedicated to Kyrie Irving's money and the impact that may or may not have on Luka Doncic staying or leaving the Dallas Mavericks. Maybe there's a scenario in this where Luka finds his way back to the state of California, if you know what I mean, and becomes a Los Angeles Laker 2 to 3 years from now and rejoins Kyrie Irving there. Maybe that could happen. Look, with Kyrie Irving, you never really know, do you? Because in Cleveland, in Boston, and in Brooklyn, he said the same thing to the press and to those teams. And then just literally minutes later, or days later, went in the complete opposite direction, with everything from I plan on staying with this team to signing a different contract with a different team to not asking to request a trade to actually requesting a trade. Look, the Brooklyn Nets at the time that Kyrie actually went out and requested his trade, actually had a legitimate chance at an NBA championship. I'm not saying they were going to win it, but they actually had a legitimate chance at an NBA championship. And when KD went down, it completely unraveled, and Kyrie just unraveled as well. Look, I said Kyrie's a polarizing person. I love him as a basketball player. He's one of my top 10 sort of point guard, shooting guards I've ever seen in the NBA in person. I've been going to NBA games since like the mid 80s. And of course, I've seen hundreds of Kyrie Irving basketball games on television since he entered the league. He is really one of my all-time favorite basketball players to watch. That's the basketball side of it. He's also one of those basketball players that I think can work in just about any situation. And when you think of Luka Doncic, you sort of think, I had this friend that used to talk to me a lot about something called a ball hog. and Luka Doncic absolutely falls into that. He's like the black hole of basketballs. When the ball goes into Luka, it never comes out, does it? Look, Kyrie can work with that. He can help where he's needed. He'll be a fantastic second Batman on this team. I do also want to point out that this, before we get into the money aspect of this conversation, that this Dallas Mavericks team with Jalen Brunson last year made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals, where they lost to, of course, the Golden State Warriors. You know, anything short, when you think of it, of this Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving 3-month rental experience, because, my friends, that is exactly what this is. Mark Cuban gave up 3 number 1 draft picks, Darius Finney-Smith, and then of course sent Dinwiddie back to the Nets. It was 5 for 1 in the deal for a 3-month rental. So do I think this Dallas Mavericks basketball team has enough depth on it to get all the way to this suddenly very competitive Western Conference finals? And the answer isn't, do I think they do? The answer should be they have to, because if they don't, the whole thing could unravel. Now, here's the scenario. Look, at the end of this season, the Dallas Mavericks will certainly try to make Kyrie Irving some sort of max offer. They wouldn't have done everything they did. They wouldn't be doing a 3-month rental just to sort of figure it out. Now, Cuban's a smart businessman, as we all know, so maybe Cuban will try to lowball Kyrie and just offer him a 2-year deal. But Kyrie wants a 4 or 5-year deal, which means you're talking about something in and around or north of $200 million in guaranteed money, for a guy that just disappears at weeks and nobody knows why. And I'm not going to bring up the flat earth, and I'm not going to bring up all of the off the court antics that could, affect the shield, if you will, or the tarnishing of a basketball organization. But look, I mean, I kid the Dallas Mavericks, but they've had a lot of tarnish ripped off their shield, haven't they, over the last 5 years? That being said, so this is really a 3-month rental, a Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic experiment. If it goes well, and they do make it all the way to the Western Conference Finals, Kyrie's money will most certainly be rewarded in some sort of 4-year, maybe 5-year, don't do 5, but maybe a 3 or 4-year long-term deal. And that will satisfy Kyrie, and that will make him happy. And if things go well inside the clubhouse and with the organization as a whole, Kyrie might actually really feel at home in Dallas. But in order for that to actually happen, and there's only one way for that to actually happen with Kyrie, is for them to at the very least make it to the Western Conference Finals. Now, if they get knocked out in the first round, don't make the second round, get beat in the second round, maybe, God forbid, to have to go to a play-in game, just to even get into the playoffs in the first place. If it just doesn't go as planned, if it doesn't go as well as it went for the Mavericks last season, then I could see Kyrie going where Kyrie really wants to go. And that is back to LeBron James in Los Angeles. That is the reality of the situation. Kyrie Irving playing with the Los Angeles Lakers on a 4-year exclusive deal makes a lot of sense for the Lakers. It makes a lot of sense for Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss in so many ways. It's not even funny. You got to ignore with Kyrie all the polarizing things. And you almost have to give him some slack because he's like one of the, I don't know if you've ever had like one of those friends that you probably had them in like high school and college, but you never had them later in life, but they're out there, trust me. And there are those friends who are constantly evolving. Like they never seem to stop evolving. I mean, just look at Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers. This is what happens when you don't have kids. You head off to a retreat where it's just dark for 4 or 5 days, and you try to determine whether or not you should accept the $60 million on the table to play for the team you played your entire career for, or risk it all and ask for a trade to the Jets, who haven't done anything in decades. Look, I don't need a dark room, Aaron, to tell me what to do. So Kyrie is sort of like one of those people that's constantly evolving, and we have to accept that. And I do. And he's does some great things during some of these press conferences, and 90% of the time he's absolutely right. How does Kyrie actually feel about playing with Luka Doncic?
Yeah, it's still a wait and see, but I think me as a hooper, me as a basketball player, am I worried about us coexisting or finding cohesion? No. I've played with some of the best of all time, greatest of all time. I've been on some of the greatest teams on the Olympics and on the World Championship. So I think this is going to be my first time seeing like one of those bad Europeans come over and really dominate up close and have the opportunity to do it at a pace that I don't think has ever been seen before, other than like Larry Bird or like somebody else that just plays at their own pace, scores a bunch of points, and is constantly in that MVP conversation every year just because he commands that much attention. So as much as I can alleviate for him, as much as I can lead alongside him, willing to do. But there's no pressure here. Nothing's forced with me and him. I just want to play basketball and enjoy his talent and enjoy my teammates' talent and, work towards the championship.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Coach coming up as well.
So I absolutely love Kyrie. He's sort of handled all of that correctly. He said everything he's supposed to say. But he didn't seem like a guy to me that was, buying real estate in the Dallas metropolitan area, if you know what I mean. I think where Kyrie really wants to go is what this next blurb is all about.
Yeah, I was in my room. It was kind of weird because it was right across the street, while history's taking place. So I'm over here telling my friends like we're literally within feet of history, but we're not in the building. But all in all, I just enjoy seeing him celebrate himself in those moments where a lot of the hard work that doesn't necessarily get talked about or seen by others is on full display. And I got a chance to play 3 special years with him. So it's a celebration from me and my family to him, and to witness history like that within the game that's so special to all of us in this room and people all around the world. We should acknowledge when greatness is in front of us. And I know we have all the superlatives for LeBron, and, you got the stands on one side and you got the real supporters on one side. So I think it's just great for the game that we can all come together.
You can't even answer that towards the end without it being a little polarizing. But I was saying a little bit earlier, Kyrie absolutely would love to be a Los Angeles Laker. That was the hope here. The secondary, option, I think, had been the Dallas Mavericks for quite some time, and teaming up with the European version of Larry Bird and Luka Doncic, which was fantastic. I love how respectful Kyrie is. I really do. I once again, I love Kyrie, the basketball player. Some of the off the court stuff is a little hard to swallow. But at the same time, I really think that Kyrie's heart is ultimately in what he believes to be the right spot. So nothing personal here at all. I would say, though, just as, I've watched a lot of these press conferences. I mentioned I went back and I watched his press conference on First Take from like 5 years ago. And he was just so combative back then. Like he didn't do this, but it was like the definition of the word "the." He would have gotten into a debate with the team on First Take about what it actually meant and why were they using the in that way. But he's matured a little bit. He's still making mistakes, but like I said, he's one of those guys that's just kind of like growing every day, sort of in front of our eyes, I guess, and our Twitter feeds, because you really never know what he's going to say. Look, Mark Cuban spent all of these draft picks, gave up two really good basketball players, one really good young basketball player and one sort of middle-aged basketball player that can give you 20 to 25 points a night every other night. That's a lot to give up, but Kyrie is a second Batman on this basketball team, and that should be enough of a reward. The downside is Kyrie is most likely, I'd say it's like 70% is going to end up walking away, and they would have paid, it would be a 5-for-1 deal, which is going to impact the rest of the Dallas Mavericks for the next 3 years, because they're not going to have those draft picks that they would have had, which were first-round draft picks, which they don't have anymore. And that's going to impact this Dallas Mavericks basketball team and could ultimately lead to Luka Doncic doing what I sort of said earlier, maybe saying, hey, maybe Dallas isn't right for me, and moving off of the Dallas Mavericks organization to the Los Angeles Lakers a couple of years from now to be reteamed with his former Batman teammate in one Kyrie Irving. Look, there's a lot of basketball left, but Kyrie Irving's money is at stake. If he has a meltdown, if he puts out a tweet or handles a press conference incorrectly and then refuses to correct himself in the next press conference, if any of that happens, it's going to be very difficult for Mark Cuban to do what Mark Cuban really wants to do, which is give Kyrie his money. If that doesn't happen, the Los Angeles Lakers will be happy to give Kyrie his money because Kyrie, as a basketball player, still has a lot left in the tank. All right, so Kyrie's got the most at stake, one of the top 5 players in the NBA that has the most at stake here. And if he really melts down, then you could expect the Lakers also to be unable to give him all that big 4 or 5 year deal that Kyrie, deserves from an on the court perspective. That is, when he's on the court. Kyrie's going to make a lot of money, or he's going to have to sign a 2-year deal instead, and he's going to have to work it that way. But it's hard to say how this is all going to play out. Either way, if they don't make it to the Western Conference Finals, as I mentioned, I think Kyrie Irving is going to be a Los Angeles Laker next year. All right. Thanks so much for tuning into the Disturbance NBA show. Please go ahead and subscribe to the show if you haven't already done that. Hit that like button. Do check out our big sports website at disturbance.live. For the Disturbance NBA show, I'm Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing.
The Disturbance NBA show is brought to you live and on tape from Silicon Valley and is a production of the Mighty Rip Podcast Network. For more National Basketball Association coverage, check out our big website at disturbance.live.